Shalom to the bride of the Messiah, who are made up of Israelites, Gentiles, males, females, circumcised, uncircumcised, bond, free, Scythian, barbarian, and all who had received the Messiah. Shalom. And shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites, for you are the bride of Yahuwah, as written in Jeremiah chapter 3, Hosea chapter 1 and chapter 2. And I'm sorry, for you are his bride, and he wants you back. For you are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, living under the curses that is written in the King James 1611 Bible. Shalom to you. All right, I want to bid all my brothers and sisters a Shabbat Shalom. Okay, now for many who do not understand why this is the Shabbat or the Sabbath, on the channel it gives you all the proof that you need. For the Father taught me that his Shabbat, his Sabbath, is determined by his heavens, as written in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. My brothers and sisters, I have the proof and the evidence. I'm sorry. Thank you, Father, for the correction. Today is not the Shabbat. Wait a minute. Let me look at my calendar because I want to make sure I give you the correct information, because as you can see, I had a busy schedule this week and I do lose track of time easily. And it's very hard to determine when when you have to keep up the heathen's calendar. So that's why I'm so happy that the Father the Shabbat, because it starts from Tuesday at sundown and end on Wednesday at sundown. Okay. Thank you, Father. But to understand why this is his Sabbath and why the heavens determine it, there are videos on the channel that give you this evidence, my brothers and sisters. And I have the proof to show you the greatest error that's listed in the Gregorian calendar. I mean, hardcore proof. They cannot be refuted. They cannot be denied. And this is something, at this time, I have not seen no other Israelite nor Gentile talking about this error. And it's right before your eyes. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say on that, because I want to stay on the topic that is at hand. And the Father want me to give you the date of his calendar, okay? Because we know his calendar is made of three lights: the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. And Mazzaroth is the Hebrew word for the 12 signs. So today is the 15th day. I hope you can see that. Let me get a light over here because it's kind of dim. There we go. That's so much better. Okay. Today is his 15th day of the 12th month. And we are still in Purim. Okay. Read the book of Esther in the Old Testament and the Apocrypha to understand what Purim is. And as far as the day of the sun, it is the first day of the sun's 12th month. And on the heathen's calendar, it falls on, let's see what month we are in, falls on February the 19th at sundown, ending on February the 20th at sundown. Okay, so that's the date for today. All right, sorry about that. Now for the topic at hand. Hebrew Israelites, Jews. Let me bring this in so you can see this better. Defines who are the Gentiles of the King James 1611 Bible. True or false? Because this has been an ongoing topic that you can see on YouTube and on Facebook's Israelites and Gentiles. Okay, so the Father stirred up my spirit again because he's bringing out another piece of evidence that we are not thinking about Israelites and Gentiles, because we're going to review the Hebrew Israelite definition. Who are the Gentiles of the 1611 Bible, from the Old Testament as well as the New Testament? And is their definition true or false? Okay, so let's begin. All right, pull these papers out. Now, the first thing the Father want me to do is to review with you about the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and Herodians of today, because when we review the word about this topic at his hand, we're going to see why there's truth and why there's false doctrines out there, okay, on this topic. And we're going to first look at the Sadducees, because some of the things that will be discussed in this video would be things that Israelites do not receive and things that Gentiles do not receive, but is written in the word. Okay, so I'm going to give you a brief description about the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Herodians, because what's done in the old is also done in new. They exist today, and you can see their same views and belief still existing in this time. Okay, so if you can open your books to the book of Acts. Let me see, can I find it? Where was it? I think I lost my place. Forgive me, my brothers and sisters. It's one of them days where you try to have everything together and it don't work out like that. But I can find it again because I have it in my notes. So give me a second. And as I'm turning to that page, is dealing with the Sadducees. This is something that my father had pointed out to me, and I was studying his word one day, and he was letting me know, you see what my people did back then, they are doing it again. Here it go. It's in the book of Acts, and I want you to see. We're going to be in the book of Acts, and we're going to chapter 23. And the verse we're going to look at is verse 8. Okay. Acts chapter 23, verse 8. And the precept for verse 8 is listed in Matthew chapter 22, verse 23. For it says this, for the Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, neither angel nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess to both. And we can see that evident today because some of the Hebrew Israelites, okay, some of them do reject Sheol, which is hell. They don't think that place exists. They do reject in spiritual things. Let's see what's another good example of what they're going to reject when I bring this discussion out in this video. And the resurrection. They do not have the understanding, the example the Messiah set for us, Israelites and Gentiles. This is why the Father had his word written to be a witness unto us. Because that's what it was, the Father reminded me now. I be watching some of my brothers and sisters' videos just to see what's going on. And the thing that I hear the most is, see, this is passed down from our elders, or this has been passed down by orally. I mean, they've been passed down from generation to generation orally. And that's how the Talmud came about, okay? From their oral, from their, what's the word I'm looking for? When you record your history orally. But I can't think of that word right now. But these things are passed down from generation to generation orally. And the question that we have to ask ourselves, these things that is passed down orally, do they align what is written? Because we have to understand this, my brothers and sisters. The Father had his prophets and other individuals such as kings or even scribes such as Josephus to write these accounts down. And here's the reason why. Because these things have been passed down for so long, we think they are true. But the Father has given us his witness to let us know what is true and what is not. Okay, so that's the first piece of evidence I just want to point out to you, because the next evidence we're going to go to is the work of Josephus, because Josephus talks about the Sadducees, the Pharisees, and other sects among the Israelites. So we can understand and what we're seeing today, because we even seeing this among, I call them the Herodians. And if you understand about the Herodians, they was converts. They was of Edom. Okay, so we can see that still evident today among the converts, okay, of them saying they have an account. They have, these oral records to show why they do what they do. But it seems like no one is following the word Torah. Okay, so here's the next witness. This comes from Josephus. And when you read about Josephus' life, you will find out that he was chosen by the Most High to do this work. And I see why now. Because there's so much coming out, you have to ask yourself, what is true? I had to go to my father, my brothers and sisters. What is true? What is from you, Father? And what is from man? Okay? So we're going to go to, I'm going to show you the chapter first. This comes from the work of Josephus. We in book 13, chapter 10, and I'm going to section 6. Now, I'm not going to read this whole section, okay? But we're going to read, the most important piece, and we're on page 355 for those who have a copy of his work, okay? So the part I'm going to go down to is... Let me see where I want to start at. Okay, I'm going to go down to number 297. And I want to get this phone steady and get it focused so you can see what I'm seeing. Okay. And we're going to start at the sentence that begins with a what. Okay. Number 297. What I would now explain is this, that the Pharisees had delivered to the people a great many observants by succession from their fathers, which are not written in the law of Moses. And for that reason, it is the Sadducees reject them and say that we are to esteem those offices to be obligatory, which are in the written word, but are not to observe what are derived from the traditions of our forefathers. And concerning these things, it is that great disputes and differences have arisen among them, while the Sadducees are able to persuade none but the rich, and have not the populace obsequious to them. But the Pharisees have the multitude of their side. But about these two sects and that of the Essenes, I have treated accurately in the second book of Jewish affairs. Okay, so what Josephus just has confirmed unto us, the Pharisee had the support of the people, and you can see that when you read the gospel. The Sadducees didn't have that support. The only people they can win over in their favor was the rich. Okay, so you will often see the Pharisees accompanying with the Pharisees on some things, but not on everything. Okay, now one thing that Josephus pointed out here that's very important, because it will explain to you why the Pharisees kept Passover different from the Messiah. Go back and read the gospel. Then go and tour on how the Passover should be kept. One of the things you would notice that the Messiah kept the Passover at evening, but the Pharisees did not. So this is to give you understanding why. They did not follow what was written in the law of Moses. Now, to get understanding about the law of Moses, because people get so focused on this, where did this law come from? It came from Yahuwah. Moses didn't stick of the stuff to do or tell his people what to say. All these things came from our Father in heaven. Okay. So the Pharisees did not follow the instructions that came from our Father in heaven. Instead, they followed the traditions of our forefathers that you see here. Okay. And this stuff is deeply rooted ever since they came out of Egypt. Okay. That's how far this stuff go back. And another book that can prove this is the book of Judith and the Apocrypha. Okay. So now we can begin to see why we seeing this stuff today in these doctrines that's coming out. This stuff is deeply rooted. Okay. Okay. And that should take care of that piece on that. So back to the topic at hand. Okay. Let's look at the definition of what the Hebrew Israelites says who are a Gentile. Okay. So what we've been hearing online from them, they said that the Gentile that we see that's written in the New Covenant as well as the Old Covenant are dealing with the Israelites, especially with the Northern Kingdom. That is their definition. Okay. They are saying it's not the heathens. It's not the other nations. It's only dealing with Israelites. According to them, only the Israelites can receive salvation, which I don't think many don't understand what salvation is, because it's a spiritual mystery on that. Because if you know what is the salvation and righteousness of Yahuwah, then you will understand what salvation is. And I don't want to give that away. You can do that studying your spare time or go to the channel to get more information. But this is what they say. They say that no Gentile can receive salvation because they're not a blood descendant of Israel, who is Jacob. They also say that all Gentiles will be their slaves. That's what they say. And they say it doesn't matter if it was before the Messiah or after the Messiah. All of this is going to fall upon the Gentiles who are the other nations or who are the heathens. Okay. This is what they say now. Now, let me see where Father want me to go with this, because what he brought to my attention is something that they didn't think about in what they said. Now think about it. To be an Israelite, you have to be born of Jacob, right? And the proof of this, we're going to use Esau and write his name. I got to write it out because I want us to focus on this, because what the Father's about me to get me to bring out to you is something that some of the Hebrew Israelites are not thinking about when they come out with this doctrine. Okay. Sorry about that. We're going to look at my brother Esau. Esau and Jacob came from whom? Isaac. Okay. They had the same father and same mother. All right. So according to their definition, they say, I want to stress this again, because what I'm about to bring out, I know my brothers and sisters is going to try to twist it, but we're going to use Esau as the, what's the word I'm looking for? As the evidence to prove what I'm saying. Okay. So If that is true, according to that definition, that all Gentiles will be their slaves and servants, and none of them can receive salvation because they're not a blood-born descendant of Jacob, who is Israel. This is the problem I have with them. They're not going with the word. Go back to the beginning. Who is Adam? Who is Adam? Is Adam an Israelite or Gentile? Who is Seth? Who is Noah? Who is Abraham? Do you see where I'm going with this? Who is Enoch? These are all these men who are righteous. That's before Israel. Think about this now. According to their definition, they are Gentiles. So you saying, because I mean, I'm just naming a few because there's many others, male and female, who was righteous in the sight of the Most High eyes. Okay. Starting from Adam, going down before the nation of Israel, before Israel came to existence, who was righteous before his eyes. And according to your definition, and according to the Bible too, this is according to the Bible, to be an Israelite, you have to be born, or you have to be a blood-born descendant of Jacob only. Because if they try to say, well, our people came from Adam, Abraham, and the other forefathers, therefore they're included too. So if you're going to include them as being Israelites, then you got to include Esau. Do you see why I'm using Esau? Just because Esau come from that same lineage as Jacob. Okay. It's something to really think about, because we're going to go to what the Messiah say about those who have died before he came. And he's going to show you who receives salvation. Yeah, it goes really deep. This is why the Father in heaven had his prophets and his scribes to give you the account, to give you the truth. Because he knew these Pharisees and these Sadducees and Herodians of today would come out with some foolishness. They would come against his word because of the hardness, because of the hardening of their hearts, because of their anger and bitterness. All right. And they're allowing Satan to use them, because when you are awakened, Israelites, you learn that you are his servant and that you have a job to do. And our job was to bring Adam, who is Adam, which is known as male kind, that's made up of male and female. We are to bring them to Yahuwah. But we fail because of our flesh. Okay. So where we go to next, let me see where to go to. Where the Father want me to go. Let me go to the Apocrypha in Esdras, because it's going to give you an idea of how his order going to be set up in the new kingdom. And it's going to prove to you those who are not Israelites receive salvation. Okay. Because remember, the Messiah went down into Sheol, known as it's in Sheol, is in the heart of the earth. It's in the midst of the earth. Okay. And the Messiah talks about Sheol. He do. And I'm going to give you scriptures on that today. But the channel go in deep detail about Sheol. Now, in the Greek tongue, they call it Hades. And Josephus even talks about Sheol. And in the Greek tongue, they call it Hades. And there's proof in the Old Testament known as Tanakh. And there's proof in the New Testament. And I'm going to give you the highlighted scriptures. But I want you to do your due diligence, my brothers and sisters. Okay. Let's see. And the Messiah even tell you about this paradise. I'm glad you mentioned that comment. He tells you about this paradise where the righteous will go when he delivered them out of Sheol. Okay, so that's why I brought the scripture about the Sadducees, because you're going to see some of the Israelites today do not believe there is a heaven and Sheol. I don't know where they get this from, but they just don't. Okay, so let us first go to Esdras. Okay, and Esdras that I'm talking about, he's the high priest. He was during the time when they came out of the ancient Babylonian captivity. He also written several books. And the one I'm going to is in the Apocrypha. Okay. Just to give you an idea about what about the ones who was before the Messiah, who died before he came. What about them? Did they not receive salvation? And was it only Israelites and Gentiles? Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. Esdras. So I think it's in first Ezra. Let me make sure. Nope. We got to go to second Esdras. Notice who would be the leaders in the new kingdom. Let me get this book down. Okay. And we'll explain a little bit about Hades and paradise. Again, you have to read his prophets' writings. A lot of them reject Enoch, but our people in Ethiopia has kept the record of Enoch. All right. And the Father has allowed it to be translated because he knew what Satan would do in these last days. Okay. He knew. All right. Let me see here. We in second Esdras, my brothers and sisters. And I want us to go to chapter 1. And we're going to read down to, let me see. I'm going to start from 35 to 40 because that's a great chapter to read. But take a note who's going to be in the new kingdom. Verse 35. Your houses will I give to a people that shall come, which not having heard of me, yet shall believe me, to whom I have shown no signs, yet they shall do that I have commanded them. So we're in that time now. We are the ones who did not see all those great works that was done in Exodus. See, we believe because of what? The word. The word. That's why. We have faith without seeing. All right. Verse 36. They have seen no prophets, yet shall call their sins to remembrance and acknowledge them. When that season, he's waking us up, Israelites and Gentiles. Okay. 37. I take to witness the grace of the people to come, whose little ones rejoice in gladness. And though they have not seen me in bodily eyes, yet in spirit they believe the things that I say. So again, what we have faith, as written in Hebrews 11. We don't have to see these things. We believe because the word says so. And I like what is written here in this verse, for it says here, though they have not seen me with bodily eyes, yet in spirit. See, in our spirit, we believe. For the Messiah said, what we shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. Okay. 38. And I have to say this, you know how when you believe something, you just know it's in your gut, and your gut is your bowel. That's where the spirit dwells. Again, the scriptures shall reveal that unto you. It's in the book of Psalms, as well as many other scriptures. This is why Paul say, refresh my bowels. All right. Verse 38. And now, brother, behold, what glory, and see the people that coming from the east. Okay, now these people be coming from the east. All right. Hint, hint. Does not the Messiah come from the east? Does not the word say he shall come in a cloud, be bright as the sun, and the hosts of heaven shall be with him? Okay. Let's see the people that come from the east. unto whom I will give for leaders. Now take a note. Who some of these leaders gonna be? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Hosea, Amos. That's make sure. I can't think. It's Micah. That's the Greek word for Micah. Joel. ABS is, I have it written down, is Obadiah. Abdias is Obadiah. And Jonas, Nahum. Now Habakkuk is Habakkuk. Okay. So Phineas is, that's the Greek word for, I have it written down. It's in 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 33 to find out what that name's translated back to. It's going to come to my mind sooner or later. Agus is Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, which is called also an angel of the Lord. Now, some of these are Israelites and some of these are Gentiles because they're not a blood-born descendant of Israel, of Jacob. Okay. Now, another verse that he wants me to take you to is what the Messiah says. It's going to confirm this. Because we have those ones who reject the Apocrypha. And, you know, Satan's so busy. He want to keep y'all so blind. But to understand these scriptures that are written in these sacred books and hidden books, to understand them, you need Yahuwah to open up your understanding and stop listening to man. So now we're going to go to the book of Luke, chapter 13. And as I'm turning to, the Father want me to remind y'all, please check out the video description box because he had a prophetic message he has spoken, letting you know who are the Israelites and Gentiles. Print them out and share them with your brothers and sisters. Okay. Also on the channel, there's some other videos you do want to check out that would pertain to this topic, such as the bride/church is the congregation of Israel. Another video you want to check out is God sets up the wicked, because he do take care of the wicked. Don't think they will not go unpunished, but he got a great he has a great sense of humor on how he goes about taking care of them. All right. And when you see how he does it, it reminds you of ourselves because we are made in his image. Okay. What else I want to say about that video? And it does pertains to Purim. That's the season we are in now. Okay. And who is another one that the Father wants you, that you can check out in your spare time. I'm trying to think what that one was. It'll come to me. Embracing woolly/skinky hair. Embracing woolly/skinky hair. I know what it was. Not that one. It was to the naysayers of the 13th month. Again, the Father's bringing out the evidence now. We have written proof that the 13th month does exist. Now for Luke chapter 13, verse 28. Sorry about that, my brothers and sisters. Now, this is what the Messiah says. And let me see here. I think I may want to start higher, but let me see first. I do, because we need to read this in this wholeness. So this is Luke chapter 13. We're going to start with verse 24 and we should go down to verse 13. Okay. Let me get the light over here so you can see this better. Okay. Strive to enter at the gate, at the straight gate. For many, I say unto you, which seek to enter in and shall not be able. Now that verse we want to take heed. The precept to that verse is 7 verse 13. So we all know about that. We know that the gate is straight, and many would not be able to enter. Okay, let's continue to read verse 25. When once the master of the house is risen up and has shut to the door, and ye begin to stand without and to knock at the door, saying, Lord, Lord, open unto us. And he shall answer and say unto you, I know you not whence you are. So we ought to know this is talking about when the Messiah come back for the redemption. Okay? And many gonna wish they was redeemed, okay, but cannot enter. Let us continue. Verse 26. Then shall ye begin to say, We have eaten and drunk in thy presence, and thou hast taught in our street. But he shall say, I tell you, I know you not whence you are. Depart from me, all ye workers of iniquity. And that precept to that is Matthew chapter 7, verse 23. So even that there'll be those who preached in his name, who healed in his name, who did a lot of great works in his name, but they too gonna be turned away. See, this thing go deep. And it deals with the heart. And we have to understand what the heart is. See, Yahuwah can see what's written in your heart or what you're thinking, what your true intentions are. Read the book of Hebrews chapter 4 to understand what I'm talking about. He knows those who are truly his servants. He knows those who truly take a delight in his commandments and his instructions. Okay. He knows their heart, their intentions. So just because they preach in his name or heal in his name or does great works in his name does not mean they're going to get in, my brothers and sisters, into the kingdom. And the kingdom I'm talking about, do you not know there's going to be a new heaven and new earth? That's the kingdom. And that new heaven and new earth is going to be eternal. All right. Okay. So they're going to be knocking, wanting to come in and cannot because of their heart. All right. All right. Let's keep reading. Then shall ye begin to say, let's go down to verse 28. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth when ye shall see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and all the prophets in the kingdom of Yahuwah, and you yourselves thrust out. Now, Israelites, this message is for you. Because you are allowing your heart to be hardened and not allowing the word to come into your heart to remove that hardness so you can receive Yahuwah's truth, his understanding and his knowledge. Your heart is hardened by anger, by hatred, by so many other things that you are rejecting his word. And then it leads you to come up with foolish doctrines that makes no heavenly sense. No heavenly sense. And you think about what you're saying. I got to talk about this. Sorry about that. My phone was ringing. But I want you to think about this because you're not making any heavenly sense. You're saying that all the Gentiles that is written in the Bible, not dealing with the heathens or is not dealing with the other nations, it's only dealing with Israelites. And you're saying that all the going to be your servants or be your slaves. So you saying that your forefather Adam going to be your slave? Seth, Enoch, Abraham, Sarah, Rebecca. No, not Rebecca. Yeah, Rebecca. Eve. You saying all of them going to be your slaves. Because according to your definition, you said Israelite have to be a bloodborne descendant. And don't try to say, well, because they are the same lineage of Jacob, they can come in. Well, that is so. What about your brother Esau? He come from the same lineage. See, y'all not understanding. Yahuwah is a righteous judge. He judge you on your heart. Yahuwah is a righteous judge. He judge you on your heart and whether you are evil or good according to his standards, not your standards. He put you, Israelites, in this earth to be a light unto Adam, to lead Adam back to him. Many of you do not understand the true definition of a servant, because if you did, you would be able to, because he made us servants, and because he made us servants, because he brought us low, when he bring us to our rightful place, we would know how to lead. We would know how to love the stranger, not vex them or oppress them, because we don't want it done to us. See, when you go back to the 10 Commandments, it's the reason why he tells you that all your household should keep the Sabbath, and to remember that you was a servant in the land of Egypt because you was a stranger. So you didn't want those things done to you. Why would you do to another? Remember, Yahuwah is righteous. So this is why we have it in Isaiah chapter 56, Isaiah chapter 65, also in Deuteronomy chapter 29, in Exodus chapter 12, and many other books and scriptures in the Old Testament showing you that the stranger is a part of the congregation of Israel. They have always been a part of the congregation. And there is a difference between the stranger, the men servant, and the maid servant. Go back and read the word. Okay? And get the true definition of what a servant is. It's not the definition that the word gives us today. Get the true definition of the stranger that shall sojourn with you. Because what you're putting out there isn't right. It's not his truth. Okay, let us continue to read, because I'm going to pick back up that discussion after I finish reading this verse. So in verse 29, it says that they shall come from the east. There you go again. And from the west and from the north. Let me go to the top. And from the south, and shall sit down in the kingdom of Yahuwah. And behold, there are last which shall be first, and there are first which shall be last. And the precept for that is Matthew chapter 19, verse 13. Okay, that's something you want to read in your spare time. But what I'm showing you here, that those who died before us, even before the time of the Messiah, they received salvation. The next area the Father want me to go to is dealing with the Messiah, talking about Sheol. And he talks about this with Abraham's bosom and the gulf that separate Abraham's bosom from hell. So bear with me on that until I can find that verse. Because unfortunately, I thought I'd written it down, but I didn't. So it's either going to be in the book of Luke or I think it's the book of John. Either the book of Luke or the book of John. Let me see here. Yeah, it's the book of Luke. And luckily, it was not too far from the chapter we just read. We're going to be in chapter 16. For in the King James 1611 Bible, the summary says this: the parable of the unjust steward, the Messiah reproved the hypocrite of the covetous Pharisees, the rich glutton, and Lazarus the beggar. Okay. And we're going to go to, let's see here, verse 19, and we're going to read it all the way down, because we're going to get an idea about Sheol. And this will confirm what is written in the work of Josephus dealing with Hades. Okay. And let me turn in the work of Josephus Because remember, Hades is in the Greek tongue, which means Sheol. Okay. We have to understand about languages, my brothers and sisters. Do not allow those words to be a stomach block unto you to prevent you from reading these books. Okay. Because we have the King James 1611 Bible to be our foundation and to let us know what is true. Just give me a second. I'm about to get there. Okay. Let's go to, here we go. So in the work of Josephus, you will find it titled as an extraction out of Josephus' discourse to the Greeks concerning Hades. So what he did, he addressed it Hades. And scriptures you can read that pertain to about Hades is Luke, which we're going to read now, 16, verse 19 through 31. Mark chapter 9, verse 43 to 48. And Isaiah chapter 66, verse 24. This is where the wicked will go. And if we have time in this video, I may go to Enoch, but if I do not, in the book of Enoch, and it's the first book of Enoch, because Enoch have a total of 3 books. In the first book, he talks about these blind sheep, and the sheep represent Israelites. Find out what happened to those sheep who continue to remain blind and will not receive the truth. Find out what happened to them, because he said they were burned too with the 70 elders. It's no joke. Now let's go to Luke chapter 16. Okay. Oh, let me get my light back so we have light. Okay. Verse 19. There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fare sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desired to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And when I read this verse, it reminded me about the other one, how the woman told the Messiah, even the dogs come to lick the crumbs from the children's table. That's how much faith she had. If she said, if I could get a crumb or a part of the blessing that you have put upon the Israelites, she would be made whole. Her daughter would be made whole. She would be healed. Okay, but anyway, let us keep going. Verse 22. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels to Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. So he's telling you what's going to happen. Well, he's telling you what happened to those souls that died before him. What happened to them, where they go. So the righteous will go to the Abraham bosom. And this is all within Sheol, in the center of the earth. Because to understand why, you got to go back to the beginning. It all pertains to what happened to Adam when he fell. And when he fell, he could not go into paradise until the Messiah came and fulfilled his part. Okay, that's you get more about this when you read first Adam and Eve. All right, but if you don't have a copy, if you just read a whole book of the 1611 Bible, you have an idea where they go before the Messiah came. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. Okay, so the wicked will go to a place of torment known as hell. And there in hell are the angels. They torment you night and day. Because we know these angels do not care anything for Adam. They hate us with a passion. And in hell he lift up his eyes, being in torment, and see Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am in torment in this flame. So yes, they are burning up. The prophets will confirm this. Just do a word search on hell. In the Bible, you'll see it from the Old Testament to the New Testament. But that is an English word for Sheol. Okay. But Abraham says, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime received thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. So our life, we're going to be judged what we do in this lifetime. This will determine where you shall spend eternity. Either you're going to spend it in a place of torment, known as Sheol, or you're going to spend it in the new heaven and new earth. Okay, something to think about. Where do you want to spend eternity? But let's see here. Verse 26. And besides all this between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that will come from thence. So the work of Josephus will confirm this in Sheol, how it was set up. Okay. I just had to sit down for a second, got a little tired. Okay. Verse 27, and he said, I pray thee, therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Now see what the Messiah say about this, because it's what I just said a few minutes ago, confirming it. Let's see. Verse 29. And Abraham said unto him, they have Moses and the prophets. Let them hear them. Now, do you see why he had them to write down what the Father told them? Do you see this, my brothers and sisters? Okay, because remember, the Pharisees and Sadducees and Herodians today is going to come to you with their doctrines. They're going to come to you and say, well, this stuff been passed down from generation to generation orally. Beware, because the Father going to tell you, I have given you my prophets. I have given you the written record for you to read and to hear the truth. But you rejected the truth and you wanted to follow man. Okay, verse 30. And he said, nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And notice what this next verse says. And I want to take my time and focus this in so you can see this. And he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. So once you reject the prophets, and the highest prophets of all is Yahushua, the Messiah, who is the Son of God. Once you reject him and all the other prophets, then you're not going to believe the truth. And once you reject the truth, your heart is hardened and you'll remain in darkness. And this is why you can believe that foolishness that the Gentiles are the Israelites. You can believe that foolishness. That lie. Okay? Because the word don't say that. It gives you the proof. What was done in the old shall be done in the new. The Gentiles, the strangers, the heathen has always been a part of the nation of Israel. Because this is the mystery that many do not understand about our Father. Why would he allow strangers to be among his set apart people and they too not be sanctified? And they too not be sanctified. You think he's going to have his set apart people around that? See, y'all don't know him. See, that what Torah was teaching us. It was teaching us about our Father, what he likes, what he prefers, what has to be done in a certain way. Most important, it was teaching us about that he is a righteous judge. He even said his own word. Do I not allow it to rain on the good? I mean, he said, do I not also allow it to rain on the evil as well as the good? That tells you a lot about him. Okay. So let me go back to my list. I want to get off track. So we see in this verse here that once you start rejecting this book here that I'm pointing to, and believe the foolishness of these Pharisees and Sadducees and Herodians today, you're going to start spreading lies to your brothers and sisters. And you're going to be held accountable for that in the day of judgment. And you're not going to have no excuse, because he's going to tell you the same thing. I gave you the prophets. I gave you my word. Okay? And if you have questions, what the word tells you, it says, seek ye shall find, ask and it shall be given to you, knock and the door shall be open. So we are given these instructions. Okay? But we choose not to listen to Yahuwah. Instead, we choose to listen to man. Okay. Now, the next area that he wants me to go to is what the Messiah told to what the Messiah say about paradise, because he does talk about this on the day of his crucifixion, what happened on Abib 14th. Okay, Abib 14th. So let me see here. Here we go. That's in the book of Luke. We're still in the book of Luke. Okay. And we're going to chapter 23. And we're going to look at verse 39 and read down to verse 43. Yes. And I need to mention this. All of the prophets talked about the Messiah. Adam talked about the Messiah. Enoch's talked about the Messiah. He talks about the Messiah a lot in his writings. David, all of them talked about him. He's in Torah. He's in Tanakh, as well as in the New Covenant. He's at the beginning to the end. Yes. Okay. Luke chapter 23. Yes, he was from the beginning. He is the Aleph and Tau. He is just like his father, like son. He said all things are taught by him. All things are taught to him by his Father in heaven. Read John chapter 8 and you will see that. And because all these I'm sorry, my tongue getting twisted. Because all these things were taught to him by his Father in heaven. Therefore, what? He's going to talk like him, walk like him, think like him, be on one accord with the Father, have his same mindset. These are things that the Israelites, some of the Israelites are not grasping today, because these are spiritual things. Okay. And when they start rejecting this word here, who is a spirit, it's more than just a letter on the paper. When you start rejecting him, you're going to reject truth, and your heart going to remain harder, and you're going to remain in darkness and continue to be blind and follow the leaven of the Pharisees, Sadducees, and Herodians. Okay, let me get back on course here. So we in book of Luke. I know I done said a chapter, but let me say it again. Chapter 23. We're going to start at verse 37 and end at verse 43. And say, if thou be the king of the Jews, save thyself. And a superstition also was written over him in the letters of Greek and Latin and Hebrew. You see, there go about languages. This is the king of the Jews. Okay. And speaking of languages, I have to go here. Bear with me. You see how Jews are spelled in Old English before J came into existence. Let me get my phone back. You see the IEWES. So we're going back in language. The word Jew comes from a French word. Okay. That's how it started, from the French. In the English tongue today, they say Jew, or in Old English, you see IEW. Then it actually the word Jew came from the word Judeans, and it deals with the province of Judea. Okay. Go back and study maps when you look at the Roman Empire. When the Romans take over a country, they divide that country into a province, okay? And they put certain leaders over that province, just like the United States does. They divided, this land mass into states, okay? So that's why I say you have to learn who are the people that makes up the province of Judea. So when you learn history, you will learn that there was a remnant of the northern kingdom that still exists in the land, and some of them also live in the land of Judea. So you did have a representation of all the 12 tribes in the days of the Messiah. Okay. So this is why that word Jew is applied to all Israelites, whether you are of the northern kingdom or whether of you are the southern kingdom. Okay. This is why you hear that word commonly used. It came from the word Judeans, which is in the English tongue, because it relates to the Roman Empire, how they broke up the land of the land of Israel. They broke up into 3 provinces. Okay. And let me see if I have the name of the other 2 provinces, because right now, my mind is going blank. Here it go. It's in the work of Josephus. I think, let me make sure. I see Judea, Galilee, and the other one on top. I'm trying to remember it, but you know how that goes with your memory. But the second province was Galilee, and then the other province, it'll come to my mind later on. But that's how the Romans divided up the country or the land of Israel. Okay. So the Latin word for Judeans, okay, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, is Judaeus, okay, which brings us to the Greek word is Eudias, Eudios, I'm sorry, Eudios, and it comes from the Strong Concordance G253. Okay, that is just want to, bring that out and give that to you to have. So, because during that time of the Roman Empire, the common language that the Israelites was surrounded was either in the Greek tongue or the Latin tongue. Okay. And then the language of the Hebrews were Hebrew. That is the tongue of creation. That is the sacred language that came from Yahuwah himself. All right. This FYI. Okay, now we're going to read 39. And one of the malefactors which were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be the Messiah, save thyself and us. But the other answering rebuked him, saying, Doest not thou fear Yahuwah, seeing thou in the same condemnation? So he's saying to himself, do you not fear our Father in heaven? Why would you say that and you being condemned right now? He has no fear where his soul gonna go. Okay? Because you know what the words say? It said, Fear Yahuwah, for he is the one that can destroy both body and soul. Man cannot do that. Okay? Verse 41. And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man have done nothing amiss. And he said unto Yahusha, Master, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. I got to read that verse again. And he said unto Yahusha, Rabbi, remember me when thou comest into thy kingdom. That's how much faith. He said, just remember me. He just said, just remember me, Master. Remember me. Verse 43. And Yahusha said unto him, Verily I say unto thee, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. Now, the paradise he's talking about is not Sheol. It's in the 3rd level of the heavens. This is where you have the tree of life at. Okay? Hint, hint. All right? Now, Enoch give deep details about the 10 levels of heavens. All right? This is where the righteous go now. This is after the Messiah has resurrected. So you no longer have the righteous in Sheol anymore. They all go to paradise. The righteous does. But the wicked remain in Sheol because they had no faith and they were evil, and they continue to do wickedness. They wouldn't take ownership of their wickedness. Now this brings us to, and I wrote some side notes about that. I say Eden and tree of life, third heaven, paradise. See Genesis chapter 4. I can't make up my little, Genesis chapter 4 note. And then second Enoch chapter 8 and chapter 9. Okay. Let me see here. Now this take us to Ephesians. Let us go there. This is going to confirm to you about what I'm saying about Sheol, because it's going to give us the precepts to the Old Testament as well as to the New Testament. Okay. And to let us know that the Messiah did go down to Sheol to get all the righteous ones and those that repented. He went down there to get them, starting from Abraham all the way up, to bring them to paradise. Okay, because when you study the beginning and also the New Testament, you will learn that when Adam fell, he gave over dominion to Satan of this earth, and he became Satan's servant. This is why we was covered. This is why we are in the flesh. And this is why we have that constant battle within us between good and evil. And this is why we became servants of sin. Therefore, the Messiah had to come to give us liberty and to break the bounds of being the servants of sin. Okay? He had to set us free from that. Now, in the book of Ephesians, we're going to go to chapter 4, sorry. You're going to see highlighted in orange. Let me get my thing focused so you can see what I have here. The precepts that we're going to read for verse 8, 9, and 10 can be found in Psalms chapter 68, verse 18. Also, I want you to read 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 18 through 20, and the book of thank you, sis, and I love you too. I think I want to make sure I pronounce that book right. It's Phil. I think it's Philip. And make sure I don't want to tell you something wrong here. It's chapter 1, verse 27. All the T's. You can tell it's been a while since I've been in that book. To save some time. Oh, okay. It's the book of Philemon. This word here. Okay. Also, in that book, chapter 1, verse 27. And some reason I did put down Revelation chapter 1, verse 18 and Revelation chapter 20 as well to look at that. Well, okay, now let's read these verses. Wherefore he saith, when he ascended up on high, he left captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. Now that he ascended, what is it? Sorry about that. My screen got blocked. Okay. What is it but that he also descended first into the lower parts of the earth? He that descendeth is the same also that ascended up far above all heavens, that he might fill all things. So let's look at some of these verses here. That proves unto you that it's more than one level of heavens. Okay. Because you said where with the S. It also lets you know that the Messiah went into the lower parts of the earth, which is Sheol, which is in the center of the earth. It's in the midst of the earth. This is why he often used the parable of as Jonah being in the belly of the whale, so as the Son of Man or the son of Adam shall be in the heart of the earth. That's what he's talking about, that grave, that pit where the soul go. Okay. And because of him, he fulfilled all things. So he redeemed all those who died before his coming, okay, before his resurrection. He redeemed all of them. And proof of this, the Father want me to take you to Matthew chapter 28. Okay, let's go there and make sure before I go there. Notice how he set the captives free. This is what I'm proving to you about how we was the servants of sin. We became Satan's servants. So he had to break us out of the powers or the reign of Satan. Okay, he had to break us free from that. Now, I know the book of Romans talk about that to give you more deep detail. And on the way to break from that, you have to receive the new covenant that Messiah has established for us now. Okay, do not take a chance with your soul, because if death comes before his coming, your life shall be judged your life shall be judged based on what you did in this world. Okay, now let us go to Matthew chapter 28, because when he resurrected, he set the example what we shall become in regeneration, which takes us back to the status of Adam, the status of Adam. Okay, but a great miracle happened on this day to let us know that he did set these captives free. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Matthew chapter 28. And I'm going to read the verse 52 to 53. And behold, the veil of the temple, 52 to 53. And the graves were open. Let me get the light better on this, because I want y'all to see what I see. And the graves were open, and many bodies of saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection now, and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. So after the Messiah resurrected, those that was in Sheol also resurrected as well. Okay, that was one of the great miracles that took place after the Messiah resurrection. Because remember, he is the first fruit of the barley harvest, which occurred on the bid 16th, as confirmed in the work of Josephus. Okay, and to understand how he fulfilled the 3 days and 3 nights in Sheol, you have to look at the mystery that happened on the bid 14th. You had a day to happen within a day. And remember, time is different for Yahuwah. It's not according to our standards. It's not according to what you say is a day and what you say is a night. All right. One of the examples you can look at the days that when Moses went on the Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. But the first day he went up there, he went up to Mount Sinai after the morning activities. So it was not a full 12 hours. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. You would have to understand Yahuwah ways, his thoughts. Okay. And for those who make comments, I do thank you for your comments, and I will go back and read them. Okay. I just want to get through this lesson, trying to not make it too long, because I want many brothers and sisters to hear this message about who are the Gentiles of the 1611 Bible, because this false doctrine got to be put away with. It's time for Yahuwah's truth to come forth. Okay. Now, the next area that he want me to take y'all to is written in the Old Testament. He said what? He's going to make a foolish nation to make us jealous, right? Did he not say that in Deuteronomy 32, Israelites? Okay. One of the perfect example to look in the new gospel is the Samaritans. Did not the Messiah say that the Samaritans are your neighbor? And those who say that the Samaritans were Gentiles, were Israelites who live amongst the Gentiles, go back, look at history. The Israelites were removed from that area and replaced with Gentiles who assumed the identity of Israelites. Yes, which is the same thing happened now with those who call themselves Jews who are not Jews. But yet they say they have these oral history and written records and all that kind of stuff. Well, they did the same thing as the Samaritans did. But guess what? In the work of Josephus, they changed up when Antiochus the Fourth Epiphanes came on the scene. They sure did. Who was the first anti-Messiah. They sure did. But let me take Deuteronomy 32 right quick. That's the Song of Moses. And the Father do mention, well, in his prophetic message, does pertain to the Song of Moses. Okay. Again, listen to that prophetic message. But Deuteronomy 32, almost there. And the reason why I have to show this, because with my Israelites brothers and sisters, a lot of them reject until some of them can see the word, but once you show them the word, they still may reject. So it is what it is. But he said here in Deuteronomy 32, they have moved me to jealousy, which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. Make sure this is focusing. And I would move them to jealousy and I would move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. And I would provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. Just as he did with my ancestors with the Samaritan, he's doing that again. This and the precept to that verse is Romans chapter 10, verse 9, which go with Isaiah chapter 65. See, when we see those who claim to be us, that makes us jealous. That makes us envious. So what the Father is, he's teaching the Israelites, because you cheated on me, therefore, I want to give you a taste of your own medicine. I'm going to make you jealous so you can understand why I'm jealous. See, his name is jealous. It's written in Torah in the book of Exodus. Okay. So he was teaching the Israelites a lesson. And I need to confirm this. Thank you, Father. The Israelites would say, well, he only put away the northern kingdom. That's not true. He has put away the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And the proof can be found in Hosea chapter 1 and chapter 2 and Zechariah chapter 11. He has broken the covenant with the people now. All right. This is why a new eternal covenant will be established with the house of Israel and the house of Judah, with those two kingdoms that shall become one. Okay. Because he has broken the covenant with his people now. They're no longer, in other words, he has put his wife away. He has divorced her. Okay. And we know Israel is his wife. All right. So let me go to that verse, because I know how my fellow brothers and sisters think. Zechariah chapter 11. Right here. And I took my staff, even beauty, and cut it asunder, that I may break my covenant which I had made with all the people. And it was broken in that day. And so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that it was the word of Yahuwah. And I said unto them, if ye think good, give me my price. If not, forbear. So they weighed for my peace 30 pieces of silver. This is dealing with the Messiah. Remember, he was betrayed by Judas. The precept for that was Matthew chapter 26, verse 15. Let's keep going. Verse 13. And Yahuwah said unto me, cast it unto the potter, a goodly price that I was praised at of them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of Yahuwah. Then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I may break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. This is why now these two kingdoms cannot get along. The house of Israel and the house of Judah, because the brotherhood has been broken by Yahuwah, because what they did to the Messiah, okay, because they rejected him. All right. So the covenant, as is written here, has been broken. Now we see why a new eternal covenant will be made with them again, because he has to have mercy on the Israelites, just as he has mercy on the Gentiles. Read Romans chapter 11. Thank you, Father, for reminding me to mention that. So they would try to say, and this refutes what the Israelites were This refutes what some of the Israelites would say when he only put away the northern kingdom. That's not true. He had put away his wife. But now we're coming to the season where he wants his wife back. So when you want a wife back, guess what? A new covenant has to be made. A marriage has to be made. Okay? So FYI, there are 3 groups. We have the bride of the Lamb, because he has his inheritance given to him by his father, for he would be like his father. There is the bride of Yahuwah, who is the nation of Israel. And the third group is the 144,000, but the 144,000 will fall under the new covenant, because 2 of these groups are redeemed from the earth, and the third group will remain in the earth because Yahuwah has more work to do upon them. They have to go in the wilderness, and the river will have to be purged, and then the righteous shall be allowed to go into the land again, and then they have to replenish the land. Read Jeremiah chapter 3. Also, to see the wickedness of the southern kingdom, read Jeremiah chapter 7. That's what else he wants me to mention. Okay. And the next thing he wants me to take you to is the book of Malachi, Israelites, because he does not play. Okay. If we turn a stranger away and say unto them, they cannot receive salvation, they cannot worship Yahuwah, you're going to make our Father in heaven very angry with you. For this is what he says. Right here in verse 5. Let me get my thing focused. And I will come near to you. And I will come near to you to judgment. And I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers and against the adulterers and against the false swear. I didn't bring my thing up. Sorry about that. And against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages, the widow, the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, saith Yahuwah of hosts. For I am Yahuwah, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. So he let us know in his word that Israel has not been, sorry about that, I had another phone call. Okay. He's letting us know that Israel has not been forgotten. Okay. And that he will fulfill his word. And you see me again, the side notes, I wrote down to read Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 32 to 33, and Jeremiah chapter 7. But notice what he says here, that we as Israelites should not turn the stranger from him. Okay. We should not do that. That's a no-no. So this is why you see in Isaiah chapter 56 that the stranger is welcome to come to worship Yahuwah. When you read the work of Josephus, even Josephus give you many examples of how the Romans, the Greeks, any other strangers, how when this is why when you read those accounts, there were times where the strangers gave my people favor where they didn't have to pay the taxes, because we was the nation of kings and priests. You see what I'm saying? So there was times where you can see that when we was in line with the Father, you can see the influence that we had on the Gentiles. You can see that was our role in the earth, to lead Adam, who is Adam, mankind, back to Yahuwah. But we had an enemy working behind the scenes. This is the same enemy that Moses saw in Pharaoh, Leviathan, Rahab, Egypt. He saw that invisible one as written in Hebrews 11. We're working against principalities. And the only one that can take them down is the Messiah. He is given all powers and authorities from heaven by his Father. So when he comes back, he's going to establish righteousness in the earth. He's going to build the tabernacle of David in the earth, or the kingdom of David in the earth. And he's going to sit on his father's throne, because he is a descendant of David as well. Okay. Remember, he resurrected in body, soul, and spirit. Going back to the status of Adam. He is the second Adam. He set the example of the regeneration. Okay. So, Israelites, do not, I'm warning you, do not turn the stranger away from salvation. Do not be a stumbling block unto them. And yes, Amos talks about the Gentiles that would take place in the earthly realm. That's dealing with the third group of the nation of Israel. Okay? Remember that three groups. Okay? You have the bride of Messiah. He too will be given a bride. Okay? And the word tells us who that bride is. It's Israelites, Gentiles, male, female, circumcised, uncircumcised, bond, Scythian, barbarian, all that receive him. Okay. Then you have the second group, that 144,000 who are only Israelites, but they have a special role with the Messiah to take down the fourth beast. And then that third group of what you're talking about, that's written in Amos, that's the nation of Israel. That's in the earthly realm. They're going to rebuild the tabernacle of David. It's in there. Okay. Some FYI, so you can understand why I use the word Messiah. This is in the King James 1611. This is the English word for Mashiachim. Okay, but I want you to give a little history how this word came out to be. So the English word for Messiah is, I'm sorry, this is the English word, which is Messiah. You can find that in Daniel chapter 9. Okay, which means anointed one. In the Greek tongue, it's written as Messias, and it's also in the 1611 Bible. You can find it in 1 John, I think, 1 John chapter 1, verse 41. Let me turn to it now so you can see this for yourself. This is why I like this version of the Bible, because it shows so much truths that the heathens tried to hide from us, but they can't hide it no more. The Father's bringing it out, and that's what I love about the Father. I love about truth. As my grandma say, a lie go flying by, but the truth come behind, sweeping up the lie mess. Okay. All right. In John chapter 1. Here we go. And you can see it gives you the Greek word for Messiah. Okay. I hope this will focus in. Let me stand up. Let me try to get this to focus. And come in slowly. There we go. You see that word underlined? That's the Greek word for Messiah. And it means anointed one in the Greek tongue. Okay. For some Hebrew words today you can learn. So those who convert to our way of life in the Hebrew tongue, they are known as Yahed, YAHUD, which is this word here. You can find it in Strong Concordance 83054. They are converts, and that means basically to become Jewish. There's a difference. Jewish is not a blood descendant, but they have convert to the way of a Jew life. Okay. Basically, they are taking hold onto the covenant that the Father has given unto us. Another definition for that word is to become Judaize. Judaize. Okay, so that's the Hebrew word for them. For us, we will be known as Yahudim, or worshiper of Yah. And another word I found for us that's being done with the word Jew, or the descendant of the tribe of Yahudah, or the kingdom of Yahudah, is Yahudi. Okay. Let me make sure my phone is focused here. You can see that here. And you can find that in H3064. And the reason why we want to look at some of these words, because a lot of these heathens that comes from the fourth beast church, okay, of their doctrines, they don't understand about word transliteration from word corruption. It's a big difference. Okay. So when they hear us say some of these words, they think it's strange, but actually the Bible do support what we're saying. So for myself, I do acknowledge myself as a Mashiachim Nazrim, which in the English tongue it means Messianic Nazarene, which basically means I follow the Messiah. Okay, now let's get an overview of this. Let me look at my little cheat note. Oh, I know what the Father want me to do. Going back to the Samaritans. You can read about that in Luke chapter 10, or what the Messiah says, but some other information that would confirm what I'm saying to you, that the Samaritan was the Gentiles. They was that foolish nation, okay? All right, now today we have those over there in the land who call themselves Jews are not Jews. They have taken the place of the Samaritans. You can find that in the work of Josephus in page 324. I think that's Antiquities 12.5.5. In the Apocrypha known as Ecclesiasticus, you can find in chapter 50, verse 25 to 26, which we shall go there now. Another thing you can find that the Samaritan was of the Medes and of the Persian. That's in the work of Josephus, and you can find that in page 324, Antiquities 11.8.6, page 307 to 308. But let us go to Ben Sirah, chapter 50, verse 25 to 26. Because what the Messiah was talking about Samaritans, Gentiles, okay? Because if they was an Israelite, it would point out that they was an Israelite. The Bible is very clear on that. Chapter 50. Almost there. That's 41. Here we go. Chapter 50. Notice what the high priest Simon says. Okay, he was the son of Ananias, and you can find him also in 2 Maccabees chapter 3, and looking at either 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and chapter 4, or 3 and 4. Okay, but notice what he says about them. This is in verse 25. He says, there be two manner of nations, which my heart abhorreth, and the third is no nation. So he's saying, you know, what nations he hate. There are two nations that he hate, and he let you know there's a third that is not a nation. Verse 26, they that sit upon the mountain of Samaria, and they that dwell amongst the Philistines, and that foolish people that dwell in Shechem. So this is what will confirm what the Messiah say in Luke chapter 10 about the Samaritan, and also with John chapter 4. Okay, because when you read the work of Josephus, they are just like those who claim to be Jews that are not Jews. Okay, but what Yahuwah is going to do, and I love this video that I watched. It was a debate going on between a YAHUAH, which is a convert, to an Israelite, and one of the sisters had a good point. Our identity. Oh, okay. Let me back it up. The true identity of who is a Jew and who is not is only going to be confirmed by Yahuwah himself through his great signs and wonders. So those who are just awakened, hold on to the faith. Do not doubt what the Father told you. Stand firm, because just as written in Ezekiel chapter 38 to 39, after Yahuwah get his glory and honor from mankind and from the Israelites, then he's going to reveal who we truly are. Okay, and that's all I'm going to say on that. So I hope this word for today was another great proof to use against these Pharisees, Sadducees, and Herodians of today. When it comes to dealing with who are the Gentiles, and also dealing with how we should treat the Gentiles, because even the converts in their Talmud, is some nasty things they say about the Gentiles, and which kind of like the same views of what some of the Hebrew Israelite camps have towards the Gentiles. Oh, it's really some things of darkness in there. Okay. So when we look at their definition on who is an Israelite, they say you have to be a bloodborn descendant of Jacob. So based on that, Adam already down until Jacob come to existence of being Israel, they are all Gentiles. Even also read Jubilees. The Father is telling me to let you know to read Jubilees. Okay. Therefore, you are saying that your forefather, starting with Adam, would be your slave and would not receive salvation based on your definition. Okay. Many of you do not understand who is the salvation and righteousness of Yahuwah. Read Psalms 98. The book of Luke and the book of Matthew will confirm what 98 is talking about, as well as what the prophet, especially the prophet Isaiah, he tells you who's the right arm and who's the salvation of Yahuwah. Because what's done in the old is also done in the new. When you understand who makes up the congregation of Israel, for example, when you understand what makes up the kingdom of Israel, because when you look in the old, what made up that kingdom? Israelites, men servants, maid servants, and the strangers that sojourn with them. So you got to go back to the beginning to understand now and understand this new covenant. The new covenant we're in today is different from the new eternal covenant that would come. The new eternal covenant is dealing with the house of Judah and the house of Israel. Again, in that, when those two kingdoms become one, in that kingdom, you will only have Israelites, men servants, maid servants, and the strangers that shall sojourn with them. So what I just shared today, I show you in Sheol, the Most High. I show you in Sheol that the Messiah went down to deliver the righteous so they can enter into paradise. And it started with Adam all the way up. Okay, those that were righteous, so he can bring them into paradise. And there's one more thing he want me to show, just to make sure I didn't leave it out. Here it go. And here's the proof. Here's another proof. It's in the book of Revelation, dealing with Jezebel. And we will go with verse 20. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. Now, the reason why I didn't go to that verse, because I want you to get the precept to understand who this Jezebel is, because there have been many interpretations from this verse. But it references Jezebel to 1 Kings chapter 16, verse 31. Okay, so I'm going to read this verse again. And bring some more light over here too. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calls herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. Okay. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her in great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. Now, let me see. This is the verse to prove to what I'm telling y'all. I'm going to keep reading. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. But unto you I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan as they speak, I will put upon you none other burden, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. So who is this one that's talking about coming? We know this is the Messiah. All right. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I receive of my Father, and I will give him the morning star. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit said unto the churches, or the bride. So right here, the Messiah is telling you something great here. So let's back all the way this up. This is proving what I'm telling you about Sheol. Okay, he went down there and set the captives free. Now, what he's telling us about Jezebel, she refused to repent. Okay, sorry about that. I had a phone call. She refused to repent. And knows what he says, that he's going to what? Cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery. And adultery that he's talking about is dealing with worshiping idols and gods, worshiping other gods. Okay. All right. He said, behold, I will cast her bed and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. Okay. And I will kill her children with death. And I know that I am he which searches the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. Precepts for that is Jeremiah 11:20 and 17, who already passed. And knows that he said he gave her space to repent of her fornication. She would not repent not. So look what he said here. I'm going to cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery into great tribulation. So he's going to cast them into that great tribulation that's yet to come. Okay. I mean, these verses are speaking a lot. So the doctrine of what he's talking about is idolatry. Anybody that lead his people into idolatry, oh, he ain't playing. Okay. Now that comment I didn't see last, but to understand how we keep the new covenant, but to understand how we keep Torah, here's the mission of the new covenant. We keep Torah perfectly through the Messiah, because now we worship in spirit and truth, a mission that many do not understand. We understand the purpose of the new covenant. Do you understand why we don't have to do those sacrifices? Okay. Now, when the new eternal kingdom comes, we will go back to the original instruction of Torah, and we will keep those sacrifices. But right now, our high priest is in heaven. We have no high priest in the earth. We have no temple in the earth. Okay. I couldn't catch all your comment, but it's a lot of deep things here that I can go on and on and on, but this video would be too long. But you got to understand this new covenant. You have to understand what the Messiah said, but that we should worship the Father in heaven in spirit and in truth. A mystery that many do not understand. Okay, I've seen here. Okay, I see what you're saying. You say he has to fulfill the law. Okay, forgive me if I misinterpret your comment in the wrong way. I need to go over. Okay, I know this video was long, and I'm sorry it's not perfected because I was here, there, everywhere. But I want you to understand the foolish doctrines about what some of the Hebrew Israelites are saying, who are the Gentiles, in the King James 1611 Bible. And what they're saying is false. Okay? Because we know that the Gentiles can receive salvation. It is written from the beginning to the end. Because it's through that seed, who is the Messiah, that all nations shall be blessed. So now you have a choice, my brothers and sisters. There are three groups. Which group you going to be in? Because I know that none of us want to spend eternity in Sheol. And the Father is giving you a choice now. And just to reflect, those who want to say, well, Adam and the rest before the nation of Israel, if they are of their direct lineage, they be okay. Well, if that's so, then you're gonna have to include your brother Esau. See, you can't take your foolish doctrine and exclude, because either Esau is a Gentile or Israelite. So if he's a Gentile, guess what? Adam is a Gentile. Okay, something to think about. All right, my brothers and sisters, I done preached enough. I done said enough. So know this, my brothers and sisters. Know this. Those who want to receive salvation and the righteousness of Yahuwah can, whether you are Israelite or Gentile. All you have to do is follow the instructions in Romans chapter 10 and be baptized in the name of Yahusha HaMashyach, who is the Son of Yahuwah. And when he enters into your heart, in the same way he did with the wife who can win her husband in conversation, win her husband over in conversation, as written in 1 Peter chapter 3. When he enters in your heart, he shall teach you all things, as written in 1 John chapter 2, verse 27, and John chapter 14 to chapter 16. And his Holy Spirit shall teach you all things, for he is the fountain of many waters. Which brings me to this picture here. He is that fountain of many waters. Iron. Right here. This picture, I'm sorry. Iron. He is the light of the body, and only through him can you receive the Ruach HaKodesh, who is the 7 eyes and 7 spirits of Yahuwah. Another mystery that many do not understand. And through him, once you receive that, you will receive Yahuwah, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And it's nothing like this world. I love you all, and shalom. And do you know who that peace is? Think about it. Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. Matthew chapter 10, verse 11 to 12. And the Hebrew letters are listed in Psalms chapter 119. And thank you all. Shalom.